Song. I'm a good dancer. Ooh, ooh, yeah, ooh, ooh. Okay, I'm done now. I'm sorry. Listen, first of all, hi, hello, how art thou? It is, what time is it? 10:08 p.m. Central Time here in the meaty Instant Texas. It is a great state, though not politically. And I don't know what to do about that. I'm awake. I know other people like to do pre-shower makeup, but I like after shower makeup. I got up and I was like, let me beat my face. Please don't judge me, or do. I decided to look like a hyper feminine futuristic fox. So that's what's happening right now. And since I was awake, I thought, why not have a very messy conversation about things? Also, happy Autism Awareness Month to my fellow autistic folks. And also, this is every day, but this is today's mug. What a beautiful day to respect other people's pronouns. It's not that hard. Just do it. Hi, I'm Audra. I'm a they. I'm non-binary. Okay. What's up, Talon? I'm just, listen, I'm having a time. I'm having a situation. My ankles are screaming still. I'm still waiting for my route to get cut. Also, if you are a channel member or patron, just a note that the live stream is back. The family live stream that we did is back up. I was testing something and obviously it was not, the copyright was like, now. So I did test that. I just removed that section. Don't worry, we can watch it again in the Discord. So that's done. So you should be able to see that now. It's showing on my end as unlisted and viewable. So you should be able to view it. Hi, Sarah. I love that little goat. So you should be able to view it, y'all. It should start being, I love that when you look on the screen, it says, hello, goat, turquoise, white horns. And I don't know why that just gives me such joy. Goat, turquoise, white horns. Turquoise is one of my most favorite colors. So this is not going to be like super organized and whatnot because I have not been able to have organization lately. It's been that time of the month. It's Shark Week. It's almost over, but I've had like some hormonal migraines and my researcher has had other things, so I haven't been able to bother them about it. But this has been something that's been on my little mind. If you're new here, I'm Audra. This is the Audra Rain Show. All of it is saved in podcast format. And on this channel, I do whatever I want. I have a few other channels, but the thing is, this channel is monetized. So there's just going to be a smorgasbord of content here. And if you don't like it, that's okay. I understand. I am a lot for some people. But I don't like to try to box myself down into a very specific small niche to appease the YouTube gods. This isn't going to be my job anyway. This is something that I do for fun. So I'm just going to keep all of it, with the exception of the gaming, over here. Gaming will be on Twitch and also on my gaming channel. So that's that. That is that on that. You did. Is that, let's see, I can't see because I have an astigmatism and they really refuse to let me make this bigger. Is that Ninciana? Ninciana. Oh, that's pretty. If that's how I'm supposed to say it. Hi, Dark Angel. I knew you'd be awake. You were. So I wanted to talk about the 4B movement because, let me be real with you. It's all over TikTok right now. And I feel like it's hit the West and it's not making sense the way that it should make sense. Okay. So the real thing is what is the 4B movement? I do have some notes that I started taking. So we'll see how messy this gets. We'll see. Oh, good. I did say it right. Oh, yay. I can see. Listen. There's a big light here and I've got to figure out how to I keep moving things around to make everything the way I want it to be. But the 4B movement came about around 2019 or 2019 if you're young, but if you're old, it's 2019. You're welcome. And it hails from South Korea, which has the world's lowest fertility rate. And it is believed to be in reaction to the continuing patriarchal rule in South Korea, which is unsympathetic to women. So that's just the basis of what's happening here. So approximately 2019 is the earliest that I can find that that is when it started. It doesn't mean that that's the end all. Don't come for me on that and be like, well, actually, because okay, I can be wrong when I am wrong. It's fine. You don't have to get in the comments with your, well, actually, it's relax. And the B's, there are 4 of them, and bi is the prefix, and it roughly translates to no in Korean. So you have bihon, which also pronunciation, please don't come for me on that. Don't try to eat my lunch. Let me live my life. All right. Let me live. So bihon is marriage. So it's specifically no heterosexual marriage. Bichulsan, and I'm using a weird accent because I've been speaking some Spanish today. So again, let me live, which means childbirth, and it's no to giving birth and being a broodmare, basically. I'm not going to have any children. Bione, dating, no to heterosexual dating. And bisexu, no to heterosexual sex. So those are the 4 B's. And according to the International Affairs Review article that I read, it says that several factors contributing to the low birth and fertility rate are economic. These include South Korea's high costs of raising children, unaffordable housing, poor job prospects, and long working hours. Nonetheless, there are other factors which are more explicitly gendered and display the role that misogyny and sexism play in the low birth rate issue. Strong anti-feminist rhetoric blames feminists for the low birth rate. Where have we heard that before? Mothers face discrimination in the workplace, and gender-based violence is prevalent in relationships. These factors, in addition to gender norms, placing the majority of household burdens on women, all effectively deter women from wanting to have children. They emphasize traditional gender roles by making women responsible for dealing with most of the challenges of having and raising children. Gender-based violence, which will be referred to as GBV moving forward, also complicates marriage and childbirth. GBV is such a widespread issue that when South Korean women successfully end a relationship without getting a violent reaction, they consider that a safe breakup. That entire paragraph was from the International Affairs Review article. I'm going to put that in the description box so you can go read the whole article if you would enjoy doing that. And so the most important aspect of this movement is that its purpose is not to change men, but to change the lifestyle for women. Essentially, women realize that they are not going to involve themselves in a world that doesn't see them as humans. So before I move forward, I just want to, I'm like, I'm saying a lot of things and I felt like super smart for a second. And so like, it's just like, I was like, oh my God, I'm big brained. Why am I like this? Like, there's a big brain underneath this fro. Um, so the most important aspect, sorry. But the many women in South Korea that were part of the movement, they did shave their heads. They stopped wearing makeup. Hi, Jeff. And flattering clothes, not just as a statement, although it certainly was one, but to free themselves from the shackles of femininity. So a big part of this wasn't just like, oh, we want men to behave, as I stated earlier, that it's not just like, oh, we're going to try to change men. That's not the goal. The goal has been for them to make safe spaces for other women to enjoy life as a woman as much as they can in a highly patriarchal society. However, as with all movements, the 4B movement in South Korea does have its fissures. In an article published by The Cut in March of 2023, they stated, can 4B be friends with men, with women who still want to date men? Does lesbianism privatize relationships, destroy feminist solidarity, and re-sexualize women? Or is it a necessary foundation for a world without men? Some 4B practitioners also were turned off by the movement's focus on cisgender women to the exclusion of trans women, and many of the online communities require verification with the photo ID attesting to the applicant's sex. And Minji said that one of the feminists, Minji is somebody that was mentioned in the article, which I don't have that part, said that one of the feminist communities she asked to join asked her to submit a video of her Adam's apple, ostensibly to ensure she wasn't assigned male at birth. So obviously it's not like this paragon of perfection. I think that TikTok is trying to turn it into. It does, like with every movement, have its fissures, although I will get further into this a little bit more because every movement is always going to have that. You're always going to have people within the movement who want to do things differently. It kind of reminds me of like when I was talking in my last live stream where I was talking about the video with Unpoetic Justice and how I just kind of talk about like the left and how there's always these conversations in left, liberal, leftist spaces where it's, are you left enough for me? And it just starts devolving inside of the movement to where we're not even sure if we're making progress outside anymore, like we once were. And it feels like we're spending more time arguing within ourselves. So I do think that you can see this in the 4B movement in South Korea, where people are trying to find out exactly where they fit in. And there are women who are not exactly ready yet to like let go of, femininity. Like, do I have to lose my femininity to be a part of this movement? Do I have to shave my head? Like, I don't want to do that. Can't I just practice the 4Bs, but leave my visual representation alone? Right? Like, that's me. I'm like, listen, I'm going to look like the freak that I am every day. Okay. It's been a while since I beat my face. So I was just like losing my mind. I got out of the shower and I was like, let's do a thing. So like even this, but this makeup, and I didn't even realize I was doing this type of makeup with the intention of talking about this today. I was going to do this live tomorrow. However, I realized that I'm probably just going to spend all day on Twitch tomorrow, playing Deus Ex. I'm never sure how to say it. I've never even looked it up. And I realized like, let's just do this now so that I can just video game all day tomorrow because I'm a loser and a winner all at the same time. So, but with even like this look, this type of look is very much like for the girls. Like this is not, I'm not attracting men with this look, I would say personally. Like I'm not, this is not a look for the boys. This is not like men would not see this and be like, they did this for me, but the girls would. The girls would be like, oh, are you? And I would be like, okay, done. So another, why am I like this? Talon said, nothing is perfect. Welcome in, no context. Nothing is perfect, but I admire the thought behind the movement. Recognizing that you can't change others, but can only change your reaction is key. Yes. And so here's the thing. Thank you, Dark Angel. I couldn't remember if I said that because my brain it's potatoes. But another thing to keep in mind with this movement is that those within the movement aren't free from the violence of men. They're not free from being paid at a lower rate. They aren't free from poverty, but they are learning. So the women do try to create community and have various tutors to teach things like financial literacy, to help with furthering education. Most are also aware that the effects of this movement are not going to, like, the change isn't going to happen overnight. They know that it can take up to 20 years for the change to actually take effect, right? For more people to really get where we need to get. It's not going to just happen because we're doing this. We're seeing results in increments even now. But realistically, any movement is not going to happen overnight. We would love for it to, especially considering the culture that we live in now, but it won't. So the question becomes, what happens when you take this movement from its home and drop it into the West? Well, it's a little dicey. One of the reasons it's so successful in South Korea is that this is not my favorite word, and I always pronounce it weird. And again, don't actually me in the comments later. Don't do that. Don't be that person. You can spell it out for me, you know. But South Korea is a largely hegemonic society, meaning the majority of the people look the same and speak the same language. And so it's much easier to organize around hegemony. We're going to say hegemony. It's much easier to organize around hegemony because you look the same, you speak the same. Whether your skin's a little darker or a little lighter, you all have the same culture, and you're all culturally, for the most part, overwhelmingly culturally South Korean. However, you bring that to a place like the good old US of A, and that is absolutely not the case. And I feel like this is where it starts to fall apart in a lot of different ways because we are not all the same culture. We're not all the same race. We are not hegemonist at all. Like this is a salad. You know, America is United States is a salad. So there's a bunch of different cultures and races and ethnicities, and genders, and we're all trying to figure out this thing together, and we can't really do it together, as we've seen multiple times in the past. Even if you look at the move a lot of Black and brown women have made specifically to not be feminist, but to be womanist. And this is very true for a lot of Black people, to move into the womanist side of things. And a big reason to move away from feminism is because traditionally and historically, Black women and femmes have been left behind in feminist movements. We are used for the front facing of it. And then once the white women got what they wanted, they just kind of dumped us at the wayside. So you already see there, you have fissures there. So like this 4B movement here is not going to be able to be, I'm not going to say it's not successful. I'm saying our understanding of it isn't really working out well. A lot of the TikToks I see are, this is what they get. And it's more like a kind of like a punishment situation. Because I love the joke ones where we're joking about, you know, men being like, oh, you're going to be alone with a cat. And we're like, oh, no, not me alone with a cat. And dying alone with a cat is the worst, which, you know, a lot of us, that's our goal. Like our dream life is like, no, I want to pass on and then leave my body for sustenance for my cats. It's the best way to go. And so to give like a little, let's see if I can do this right today. We're going to find out. I never know if I'm going to do things right, but let's, oh, no, don't start talking, girl. So I'm bringing this, creator, and I'm going to have to see if I can link TikToks. I do such a bad job with linking the TikToks. I always say I'm going to do it and then I don't, and I'm super sorry. But I'm trying. Listen. All right. So I'm going to bring this on. I hope that the volume will be good, and then we shall discuss what it is. Okay, let's see. Is that it? That is it. All right. Let me do this here. I'll be dying alone with the budgie, and I'm good with that. Listen. Okay. Oh, no, don't see all my things. Okay, my bad. All right. Hi, Purple Cats.
Should not be getting our information about the 4B movement from Westerners on TikTok. Some of you probably see my face and are assuming I'm now going to explain the 4B movement, but I'm not going to because I am a Westerner on TikTok. And I know my knowledge of South Korea's government, culture, and patriarchy is not that deep. Definitely not deep enough to explain this whole political movement. So I don't understand how so many Westerners are comfortable making a video about the 4B movement. Y'all can't even pronounce what the 4B stand for.
Period. Correct. I'm not sure. They are absolutely correct. So that's the issue I've been running into, because I keep seeing people talk about the 4B movement. I'm not qualified to talk about it. I'm qualified to talk about like what it looks like here in the US, and I don't like it. I don't like what it seems to be doing. And I'm going to pop up another TikTok so I can kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So hold on. I've got another one. Bear with me. Hey, Quilty Lovey. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy to see you. What are you making right now? Okay. Like, what are you making? I'm so excited. Let me know. All right. So, geez, I do this every time. I like click on things. Don't look at it. All right. Here we go.
So the 4B movement has taken TikTok by storm, and so many people are talking about it. And so let me address this comment, the idea that it's a punishment to men, when I don't believe that it is. I believe that it's a very smart assessment, and it is about being active instead of being reactive to a lot of the concerns that women have consistently had. And we've reached a point where we have to make a decision based on safety, based on emotional well-being, and based on mental health. And the reality of it is that ain't nobody ever ran from a good man.
Period.
Never. A good man don't have no problems, honey, getting that big piece of chicken. Ain't nobody running from no good man. That's never going to happen. But what we are saying is that unless it is a man that sees us as human, that has unpacked patriarchy within himself, that can communicate, that is willing to actively participate in our lives and in the relationship and in doing the dishes, we good.
Period. That so far has been the closest. The name of that creator is My Therapist Life. That has so far been the closest and best representation of what the 4B movement should look like. Because a lot of the information out there is just like, the 4B movement is taking over, y'all. Punish these men. And it's not about punishing men. And we all know I don't like men. Y'all, I feel like some of y'all know, like Khadijah and Bo put out a video talking about I feel like this maybe was last year, but please don't quote me on that because I do not understand time. All right. Like, I was trying to calculate when my mom was coming home, and I was like, oh, it's Saturday. Is that today? No, that's next Saturday, because she would be home now. Like, listen, time means nothing to me. I literally just asked a coworker today how his cruise was, and he was like, that was last month. And I was like, oh, I don't remember seeing you since then. So, but had put out a video talking about how, like, we as women need to, try to have more, and those socialized as women, empathy towards men. I don't have that. And that is only because I am, oh my God, going to be 44 this month. As such, therefore, forthwith, I have seen for decades that women have tried to utilize empathy to help men with their growth. And overall, we're not getting a lot out of it. And I think that we are taking advantage for that. A lot of men will utilize a woman to build. We saw what happened with AD and that fool. Whatever flaws AD might have, okay? Because I'm not saying she's perfect, but I'm always going to believe a woman and a man. But the amount of times that he was basically like, you have helped me to grow and change and all of this stuff, and then still dogged her out at the end. Like, she shouldn't have married him anyway, but still dogged her out at the end. At the end of all of that, she still got dogged out. He used her for his growth and his change. And then once he felt like he had gotten what he needed, the amount of women and femmes who have raised men, and I'm not talking about had children, I'm just talking about raised a man, is high. And the amount of them who have gotten paid dust in return is also high. So it's just, also just a side note, I am living for the little tea bags for tea. Oh, that's so cute. The pouch, that is cute. I need to figure out, I need little baggies for things at work. I just need some, and I keep meaning, listen, give me whatever time it takes me to remember that I need to go on there, because I need to get a couple more totes, because I need a work one and a home one, whatever. Anyways, I don't know if you can drop your link in here, but if you can, try to drop the link for your shop, Amagan. So anyways, back into it. Sorry. Focus isn't my main thing. So, but I do feel like it comes over into the West, and it becomes more of a get 'em girlies. These men have to learn to be alone, etc., etc. And it is a reaction, right? But it is not a punishment. I think I will tell you my personal journey towards not just finding out that I'm ace, but the last, I feel, it was it had to be 2020. I feel like it was 2020. I feel like it was 2020, maybe into 2021, not sure. But I feel like the last relationship I had, it just went awry and bad. I was just oh, that, when somebody does you so dirty that you're just I really did see this coming. I should have done more, Risa Tisa, where you're just oh, there were so many red flags. I understand why she allowed those red flags. I really do. I get it. You just lose yourself. And so after that, I was you know what? I'm not going to do the snooze. No more getting into the beds. No more doing the nasties. No more, none of it. I was I'm not going to date. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to chill and relax with myself. And I've had this long, beautiful road of self-discovery. One, in discovering that I am asexual. I was oh, I'm never going to forget watching, and just all these people around me were oh my God, I'm getting a little, when we're in lockdown. And I was oh, look at my nails. They're pretty. Ooh, this is nice. What now? Am I getting, oh no, I don't, it's not bothering. No, actually, I'm happy that that's not happening. Listen, when I discovered that my favorite relationship of all the relationships I had was a relationship with a fella named Daniel. And the reason I loved this relationship so much was because we didn't spend a ton of time together. We weren't always in each other's space. And he was terrified of doing the nasty. Terrified, because he already had 2 kids and he was having to pay child support. And so he was I'm potent. And I was I am infertile. And he was still still too scared. And I was that's fine. I don't actually like doing it. I didn't say that at the time. I was I don't actually like doing it. It grosses me out so bad. And so I love that relationship. It was fabulous. But he's, one, heteronormative, 2, very much into that traditional relationship. So when he broke it off, he was just I don't think that people are supposed to be in a relationship where they don't really see each other or talk to each other all the time. And I was oh, this has been perfect for me. Because when we did hang out, it was awesome. I was this is great. And I also didn't even mind that much physical contact because we didn't hang out a lot. That was my favorite relationship. So like I had this whole like time of self-discovery, and I definitely would say if you are considering, like I think a lot of people are accidentally, especially in the West, finding their way into the 4B movement, especially because we do not have the like, do we have a patriarchal society? Yes. Is it to the extreme that it is in South Korea? I would venture to say absolutely not. I would venture to say it is not to that level. So with that being the case, I think that a lot of women and femmes are finding themselves in this kind of accidentally, like something happened relationship wise, or not. And they were just like, yeah, I'm just going to be by myself. I'm going to stop dating. I'm going to stop doing it. It's fine. It's fine if I just quit it. You know, like basically it's okay if I just stay by myself for a while. And I think when you're doing that, we start finding our, you know, again, the road to self-discovery, finding out who you are, what you enjoy. And here's the other thing is, I think the more time that you spend not dating and finding more and more of yourself and what you like and what you enjoy. I'm also going to say this, and listen, I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. A lot more of you are on the asexual spectrum than you think or than you know. Okay. And some of y'all, you're not ready yet. I'm still going to hold your hand, but some of y'all are lesbians, and that's okay. It'll take time. It's okay. You're finding out, you know. It's okay, boo. We'll like welcome you with open arms when you're ready, okay? When you're ready to be like, I'm queer, we'll be here. We'll be here giving you hugs. Like not me though, like not an actual hug. Like this is good. I'll virtual hug you, but don't actually physically touch me. Nothing against you personally. I just don't like being touched. I don't enjoy that at all. Wait, so now I'm going to go see what y'all are saying. My hubby said it best and it blew my mind. Traditional gender roles and trad gender roles and trad marriages shouldn't be labeled as traditional. It should be rebranded as exploitation of women. MJ, your husband? He's a good man, Savannah. Wait a minute. I feel like I recognize the name Roxy Says, and I can't figure out why. But we'll figure it out. I feel like I recognize this for reasons, and I can't wrap my little brain around it, but I'm going to figure it out. Do you have a channel that I'm watching all the time? Because I feel like that's true. I feel like I'm watching your channel all the time. I could be making that up in my brain. I listen to a lot of content while I'm working. So Ninciana says, same. My last relationship in 2019 was a walking red flag, and now I'm centering myself instead of putting myself through all that again. 100%. Like, I think for me, the longer, because like I have not dated. I knew it. Oh my gosh. Because I was like, I know. Listen, I am so happy for you because I love when I see Black creators get some shine in this bitch. But oh my gosh. Because I loved your Love is Blind reviews. They're so good. They're so good. Like, if I had time to actually make a video, listen. Y'all, if you're not following Roxy Says and you're not subscribed, you really need to. Her content is so good. She is fun and it's joyful. It's a fun place to be and thoughtful. So, listen. But yeah, I don't know. The longer I've been single, the less interested I am in even attempting to date. I don't, and I've said this multiple times and I will continue to say this. I don't think dating apps are good for us. I think we do. And I think we're seeing it with a lot more Gen Z people. There are articles coming out about how Gen Z is starting to revert back to just like let's just meet people in real life. Because let me be real with you. I don't, when I look at things like online dating, when I talk, and every time I talk about it, I have to take you way back to the elden days where it took like, a week and a half for your photo to be uploaded onto match.com. Like that's how it was ridiculous back then. People read your profile and it wasn't just like bits and pieces. Like you had to fill out like a dossier of information about yourself and you would read this about somebody else. The whole intention of it was that we as a society were missing out on potential matches because of the urban sprawl, right? So like I live in the DFW area, Dallas Fort Worth. If you live in any of like the small sub cities, you live in South Lake, you live in, let's say, Arlington, you can live in Mansfield, Kennedale, like all of these places are small places outside of the city. Even if you go into Fort Worth, the chances of you seeing that person or running into them are fairly slim. So going online opens up your dating pool. So you're able to like meet people that you normally wouldn't be able to run into. Now it's just like, it keeps getting weirder. Like it's just awkward and it's annoying. Why bother to put a profile together that somebody's not going to read? And all of the, like just the abs. Can we have a conversation about the abs? Can y'all stop doing, like, I know what you want. We all know, So when you get back into moving the 4B movement over here, I think too many people are looking at it as we are punishing the men for being shitty. And it really isn't that. It's women should be coming together and finding community with one another in such a way that we regain not only our own femininity, but we are able to help each other and have true community. We're inviting you into the circle, pick-me's. We're inviting you into the circle. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. So y'all can come back, like everybody can come in. And the goal is for us to learn to be self-sufficient, to learn all these things that, we thought we couldn't do. I think it's so cool. Like when you go to TikTok, you'll find female mechanics, like I say female, but women in non-binary femme mechanics, women in non-binary femmes who are doing home renovations, like all of these little things that we can now learn from other women. You know what I mean? And like, instead of having to depend on men for that, we are learning financial literacy from one another. We are building communities and being able to not necessarily replace, but supplement that romantic relationship feeling with platonic love. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with platonic love. And I think more people need to realize that platonic love is so good for you. The amount of us who have been in relationships and completely dropped our friends, I think most women and femmes have experienced that at least one time where you've done it because that's the expectation, because the amount of times you've heard, like, especially in a heteronormative relationship, a heterosexual relationship, oh, if she has a lot of single friends, man, like it's a red flag and you can't be going out to the club, what's she doing out there? And really, now we know, they know y'all don't like him. They know her friends don't like him. He knows that. And he's like, listen, if I have a brain, what I'm going to do is tell her that she can't really go out with her friends because I don't feel comfortable with it. And I don't know why she would be out there throwing her ass back, which you should always throw back the ass. Throw as much ass as you want. Married, single, you should be throwing the ass. Yeah. So Zoom dates are becoming a thing. I think that the idea of swiping through people is a terrible one. And I think they need to remove that. I think what needs to start happening is it's just like, here are your 5 matches. Let us know if you're interested in any of these people. Obviously, they're interested in capitalism and money, so they don't give a shit. But that's really like, it should just be like, here are 5 matches based on you. I think more people would be willing to even pay for that because it would be people that they actually have to match you properly with, or you would like cancel. And then you can go on dates and then you would like actually rate the date. Like you go on an actual date, y'all rate the date, and that like rates the person in some way, not visibly for everyone, but rates like your interaction so that it can algorithmically decide who to set them up with next, if not you. Why am I a futuristic monster? I'm creating bad things. Listen, don't listen to me. Look away. I miss chat rooms. You can have conversations with people with no need to ever meet in real life. Yeah, and that's the thing. I enjoy relationships that I don't actually have to physically take part in. Like, can we, because the idea of bumping uglies, in theory, sexy, right? In reality, for me and for all of my sensibilities and issues and sensory issues, no, I don't want to do that in real life. No. If you want to tell, like, that's fine. You know, cyber sex days, good times. We teach each other all kinds of things. We no longer have to have a man in our lives to thrive, let alone to survive. That part. Like, we don't need all of that. And you're seeing increasingly when you talk about gender wars, what I always find funny is women will be in their spaces having fun women times or talking about women issues. And literally every time without fail, men just arrive in our spaces. We don't even care. We're just having like a nice time. We were having fun with girl dinner. We were having fun with girl math. And then they have to show up. Women will be in a thread talking about how excited they are like with having like a women's only gym. And underneath suddenly there's just men being like, good, we don't need y'all in the gym just staring at yourselves in your tight outfits. First of all, bro, nobody wants to be wearing the loosest possible clothing at the gym. Have you seen the equipment? None of us want to get caught on it. Second, some of us are neurodivergent. I'm one of them. If I try to run, my ankles snap. I need things to be like not grabbing onto everything. The whole point of our workout outfit isn't just for sexiness. It's not for you. It's for us to be able to work out comfortably. Sports bras that hold our boobulas. Like, come on. I love that women are talking, sharing their stories and learning from each other. I do too. Like, I would tell so many women right now, like, especially in the American South, it is like at 24, you're basically an old maid. Even in the year 2024, it's like, if you're 24 and you're not engaged or married already, it's like, oh my God. I mean, again, Risa Tisa. Like, you don't go to college, do your thing, enjoy your life if it's going to be college or if it's not. But yes, when you check out of the chat, you shut the door. Discord is that for me with internet community. Yeah. I think that like, I love, like, the more that I get to interact on Discord, which I was so hesitant to create one because I was like, oh my God. But I made mine to where I can easily keep up with everything. So that's been helpful. But like, I love that I can just like pop in and chat. We can do things, talk about stuff. I think I even need to include one that's like a creator corner. So anybody who's in the Discord and like needs some help with stuff, like if you're doing live streams, use OBS, okay? If you need help with OBS, let me know. I can help you. But if you're going to have guests, use StreamYard. OBS is free, pay for the StreamYard. Boom. But those guys just really want their Mojo Dojo Casa houses. Yeah, and it's just, we can't even have spaces where we don't have to have men trying to push whatever they think that we're doing onto them. It's one of the reasons I even talked about this look that I have on, because like they love to be like, well, who are you wearing makeup for? And I'm like, this is obviously not for the boys. I'm so sorry. This is not. This is the girls, the gays, and the theys. That's this whole thing is That's who's going to be like, hey, I'm like, hi. Roxy, let me know. Yeah. Like, listen, it seems complicated when you start using OBS, but when I tell you, like, you can do all kinds of things. Like, I can pop things like on and off my stream if I want to. Like, I have like the Ko-fi tip thing. It's Ko-fi, but I can put that there if I feel like it. And then if I don't want it on there, I just boop. It's so easy. I feel like I'm winning every time I do it. I'm like, look at me. look at me. So, so I think looking at the amount of people who aren't really understanding that the 4B movement in Korea we're going to have a completely different movement. And I feel like in the West, ours is more about decentering men, which is what they're doing. But culturally over here, I think we're going to have to stop calling it 4B here. My opinion, you don't have to, you can have yours, but I think we're going to have to stop calling it that here because ours is more, again, we're not a unified society of women and femmes. We have so many different cultures and races and ethnicities, and depending on where you're from depends on what that's going to look like for you on decentering men. And I do think that it's very important to do that. On my Decentering Men video, I had a man show up and be like, decenter women. And I was like, do that then. I honestly think that a lot of y'all would be happier if you did decenter women. It's literally, as a people, we need to decenter romantic relationships from our lives. Not that you can't have one, but that your life should not revolve around finding a romantic relationship, because I think that causes a large amount of unhappiness with our lives. We put a lot of things on hold because we're trying to like wait for this perfect romantic relationship to arrive, whether it be traveling, doing new things, whatever it is, buying a house. All of these things we place on hold because we're waiting for this like magical moment and this magical relationship. And I think it builds a lot of resentment. So that is honestly where you do get like the bitter woman, because you did all the things that you thought you were supposed to do and it's still not working out. I think that's where we get this like large amount, like this huge red pill community, because we're all living in capitalism. Obviously, that's the problem with everything, but like American capitalism is the problem. But this resentment builds over time because you just keep seeing it take place. You look and you're like, I can't find somebody to date. And if that is the center of your life, if everything you're doing is leading to finding this romantic relationship, when you don't find it at some point, I think there's bitterness and anger that erupts there. And I think we just have to start realizing that we as a people need to enjoy ourselves and stop centering that entire romanticized life. You have platonic love and it is beautiful if you would let it grow. I think sometimes we feel like there's like a place for it and we're putting it in this little box like, oh no, I love my friends, but like, and it's like, no, let it out. I'm not saying y'all need to touch titties. I'm just saying like be friends. And allow those friendships to truly flourish and blossom. And you'll be surprised by how much more joy and warmth you have in your life by allowing that to really flourish. It also, I think, helps you if you are seeking a romantic relationship at some point in your life, that you have a groundwork of friends who are basically your family at this point, who will call out that somebody is like shitty. Because how many times have we been in a relationship with somebody, everybody around you thought they were shit, nobody would say anything, then you break up and they're like, girl, I just want to tell you. And you're like, why did you not tell me that before? Before I moved in with this turd. I wear makeup for the butterflies and the plants. Thank you for the love of my eyebrows. Listen, I'm such a weirdo. I'm going to stay weird. It's fine. I know the assumption that we wear makeup for them. Yeah, Roxy, if you, I don't, DM me, I think. I don't know who listen, I don't go to Instagram enough. Like I'll go there and follow people randomly. And then like I just don't show back up. Like I just followed Khadijah like this year. I've been watching her content for years, or their content for years. And I didn't realize I wasn't following them on Instagram. But that's because I was doing like a lot of beauty Instagram. And by the way, if y'all are trying to help yourselves with not buying a lot of stuff, I need y'all to start unfollowing some of these brands. Help yourself out. Just do like one a month if it helps you out. Because you know, when you don't see it all the time, you don't care. Or maybe we want a safe space to work out without feeling like we are getting eye fucked at the gym. Thank you. That's the thing. Excuse me. Every time we try to have spaces for us, they just like, they show up. And like, you can trace this even in media. Like every time there was, because y'all know I'm a media nerd. Every time in movies there was a sleepover, what would happen? The boys would come and they would like ruin it. And then you'd have the slumber party massacre. See? That's like, if you haven't, that's an old movie, by the way. That's not like a real thing. I mean, that I know of yet. I wear makeup because I love color and I don't give a shit about what others think about me. It's crayons for my face and body. Hell yeah. I wear makeup to summon demons straight up. Thank you. I'm like, let us prepare. The worst of the Karens did what they were taught, but they didn't get what they were promised. I think that's a huge part of their anger. Yes, because if you're watching the trad wife movement, the amount of people who want to say that this is a reaction to feminism makes me laugh, because I'm like, this is a reaction to American capitalism. This reaction of I want to stay home and take care of my family. And I'm not talking about people who truly like that's something they want. I'm talking about the ones who will sit there and be like, who wants to like go and work this corporate job? Nobody wants to go work this corporate job. Nobody wants to, work 12 hours a day and then have to come home and bear the brunt of, the childcare, the housekeeping, all of that. Nobody wants to do that. And I think when American capitalism, the version we were promised versus the version that we were got are two different things. And we were promised that, we would be able to survive and do well. But what we've gotten is that even with two people working, they're still having difficulty trying to make ends meet. And that's already going to create a lot of tension in a relationship when you're having difficulty trying to make ends meet. So I agree. Decentering men and 4B isn't the same. I wouldn't be surprised if they got upset at women in the US for watering down their movement. Yes, because I think that we can learn from movements in other places, but I also feel like we have to understand that it's not just, oh, let's move it here, it's going to work the same. It's not, because our societies aren't the same. And we here can decenter men from our lives and begin to build lives that are better for us and work better in US American culture or Canada. I'm not exactly sure how Canada's culture works because I've never been, but I hear it's getting rowdy over there as well. So from the Canadian creators I watch, but like because like I said at the beginning of this, there are women in South Korea who are shaving their heads and not wearing makeup, and they're not wearing, flattering clothing. And the reason I brought up them being a hegemonist society is that you can clearly see it, whether you are no matter what your gender is, you can see who is a part of this movement. That is not how it would work here, even in the US. You wouldn't be able to see that, because here in the US, we have a lot of women who will wear the outfit of punk, but they are not punk. And I'm not like gatekeeping punk. I'm saying punk is about inclusion and like fuck the establishment. Definitely they're not like, oh, we hate gay people, any of that. That's not punk. But they're wearing the outfits. So again, there's not a way to do visual representation here. And I have a whole theory about that, which I'll have to talk about maybe some other day, like the costuming of liberalism and leftism in the US, and how weird it is that people will wear the costume and then just like not be like that. And I know why they do it, but still. I follow too many people on Instagram, but not too many makeup brands because I can't. Yeah, I stopped following the makeup brands. I'm not saying that to be shiesty. Keep a few of your favorites, But like, I don't even follow, I try not to follow or pay attention to most of the accounts that show you like new releases because I'm not trying to get caught up in that anymore. As someone who runs a small business, I need to be on social media way more than I am, but I hate people. No, but you know what I've seen? I'm not sure if I've seen them on TikTok or if they're your reels. I don't remember because like it all just kind of runs together for me. But I've seen what you've done, like showing your totes and things like that. And I think that those are really, really good. I like those. You don't actually have to be in them if that doesn't, bring you joy. Within 3 months, we weren't friends, but she didn't go back to him. So worth it. So wait, I think a lot of people don't tell the friends their SO is toxic because they're afraid to lose the friend. I encouraged a friend to ditch her narcissist fiance less than a week before her wedding. To be clear. And then it says, where did it go? Within 3 months, we weren't friends, but she didn't go back to him. So worth it. And that's what I'm talking about. I think when we decenter men, these conversations get easier because once in decentering relationships in general, because some men have dated a toxic woman. I'll give you that. I will throw you that crumb, men. But I think when you decenter relationships and you focus more on your friendships, it opens the door for you to have the hardest conversations that you couldn't have before because those conversations would piss people off. But now that you have like a fully open, flowering, good friendship, you're actually able to have that conversation, be like, hey, listen, I know you like them and you can live your life however you want to. And I'm going to be here for you to complain and like whatever. But I think that the person that you are seeing right now, very controlling. I don't think that that's good for you. You've talked about this in other relationships and I just wanted to have this conversation with you. Again, live your life how you want to. I'm going to be here for you. Just, like, I think it's important even when you start dating somebody to, you set a date for your friends as well. Whether it's weekly or monthly, where you're like, we're going to get together on this date or on, the third Sunday of every month and we're going to do our thing and have a good time. So that you're always keeping that connection open. Because like for me in my marriage, when it really got bad and it was like a nightmare, I didn't have any friends left. I had nobody to really turn to say anything to because everybody I knew, he knew. And if I'm going to be very frank with you, everybody thought our relationship was perfect. It was not perfect. It was a nightmare inside. You know how like when you have the mystery chocolates and it looks so good on the outside and you get it and you're like, oh God, it's gorgeous. And you put it in your mouth and like disgusting filling squirts in there and you're like, Pwah! That was my marriage. So like, I am not trying to do that. 4B seems very specific to East Asian cultures. It won't translate directly to US, Canada, or Western European cultures. Exactly. I do not feel like that is a movement that will transfer over here well. Because also you have to remember that like in South Korea and China, women far outnumber the female population outweighs the male population by a lot, to the point that, and I'm hoping I don't mix this up. I feel like it was in China, but I could be wrong. But I do know that at one point, and it may still be going on, I had read an article that was talking about there would be like a camp and there would be all these women, wives for these men, and they would pay all these men. It was a scam. They would go there, meet wives, pay money for the wives, and then the camps would just disappear. Like, people are capitalizing off of the fact that there's so many women and they just can't get with the women. The women are like, no. And I might be doing it the opposite way, but yeah, there's a boatload of men and not a ton of women, and the women aren't interested. So I need to look that up now. Like, cause now I'm like, where did I find that? Like, I know I found it somewhere. I don't know if I'm going to, because I'm going to start typing and then I'm going to forget. Hold on. Also, the cost of living is shit here. The shrinkflation is going off. Listen, the way that people in the US just think that they're going to like, I hate it here, I'm going to Canada. I'm like, good luck, bro. I follow makeup brands that showcase content creators for the most part. Yeah. And then a movement building requires actual work, not just superficial understanding. It would take network building classes and workshops, support for those leaving abusive relationships, etc. Yes. Because in another of the articles that I had read, I believe it was in The Cut, one of the things that they brought up, let me see if I can find it. Ooh. Because they have a lot of digital sex crime there as well. And it's obviously a global problem. But let me see if I can find that article again, because I really think that that would be super helpful if I could find it. If I could go back to the article I found. Let me come in here, because I always like, yeah, there we go. Let me find the little spot here. So in the article, they speak to someone named Young Mi, and it says, for Young Mi and many others who subscribe to its basic premises, 4B or practicing Bihon is the only path by which a Korean woman today can live autonomously. That is a word that I can say, autonomous, but the second I read it, my mouth goes, hate the word. In their view, Korean men are essentially beyond redemption, and Korean culture on the whole is hopelessly patriarchal, often downright misogynistic. So even that, we can say in the West, we can say here that we do have like misogyny and that we are living in a patriarchy. However, it is not to this level that they are experiencing there. Like, I am aware that there are misogynistic men. There are women who have internalized misogyny. But I also have far more autonomy here in the West to live the way I want to, even though we are still paid less here. I go buy my own home, like do all these things. The amount that they're paid less, I feel like is significantly more than ours. And I had read that. Listen, I was starting to get like a whole script together. And I just knew I wouldn't be able to finish it, and I would never have the talk. So, yeah. But yeah, this is not, I feel like people don't remember all of the different ways in which we have a lot of things that women in so many other cultures just don't have and don't have access to. So, yeah. And they still experience a lot of violence against them, as we do too. But again, we have a little bit more. We have a smidgen more of the ability to counteract that. Even though our court system it's not fantastic, honestly. It's pretty. But once in a while, the court system does do something. They throw us a bone. Oh, you're in Alberta? Okay. And the politics are frightening. I live next to Stephen Harper. Ooh, and I give his house the finger every time I pass it. No, see, I knew this. So here's the thing. I'm a hockey fan. I'm kind of a hockey freak. I also know the Canadian national anthem better than I know the U.S. one. Listen, because I used to play EA Sports NHL. I used to play all the time. I would like make my own hockey player and like take my teams. Because I had multiple teams, and I would take them to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Listen, I would play the shit. I'm probably gonna need to get that again, because that's ridiculous. Canada doesn't sound that lit. If anyone wants to come to a fair in April, I'll be there. I just won't tell you who I am or where to find me. Yeah, China's one-child policy combined with preference for male offspring coming back to bite them in the backside. Yes. And they have, I feel like now it's like 3 children in some areas, and people still aren't going to do it because it's still too expensive to raise children. My economics, was it economics? I feel like he either did that or math. I can't remember. Mr. Lee, he told, and I don't know if he's telling the truth because this was like in the 90s. So he could have been telling the truth, but like there were babies in the river, he says. But that was in the 90s. Listen, that was not a good thing to say out loud. I did it anyway. But that's how bad the one child policy was, that they like girl babies, which also ushered in the great lesbians adopting Chinese children. If I'm not driving, I'll give the finger with both hands. A bag of chips is half air, but costs more. Make it make sense. It really is. And it's like, I can only eat chips for like a little bit before I hate them. This country just likes the aesthetics of a movement and not doing the work and organizing of a movement. Exactly. And the thing is, here, each culture is going to do it differently. Like Black and brown women are going to decenter men differently from our lives than white women will. And I'm not saying that to be like divisive. I'm saying that is true because of how men are centered in our cultures. So like you'll hear in Black culture quite often, like so-and-so's getting the big piece of chicken, like in the TikTok. That's a whole thing where you serve your man first and like all this stuff. You're not going to fix your man a plate. That's very much part of our culture. So decentering men for Black women and femmes would look completely different than it would look for a lot of white women. Obviously, some Southern white women might still have some of that, but like it's going to be different ways of adopting that and finding ways to make it work for you. And especially here in a way that's not violent. We have more access to places to live. We have more access to finding not murderous roommates. I watch too much TV. Let me live. I am late to the live cast, but know what the 4B movement is. The only thing I can vouch for is women in the US are angry and the blinders off. Yes. And here's the other thing too, is I think that there are multiple layers to this. Having TikTok available to us allowed us to see things we had never seen or heard before from women who would have no reason to tell us otherwise. Finding out the devastating effects of giving birth, like I already knew I didn't want to have kids, but when I started finding out, like these women are out here talking about I lost hair, my teeth, some women, their teeth were falling out, they're prolapsed, like things were just organs rearranged, things were just not, everything just blah, like I was just like, why are you doing? So now if I see someone who has a child and then they're pregnant with another one, I'm like, why? Did you not go through enough the first time? But like being able to find that out, finding out from like, and this is why I encourage you, whether you want to be like, if you think the trad wife movement is something for you, I would also encourage you to pay attention to stay-at-home moms who had you make those decisions for whatever reason, some because they could financially afford to, but a lot of stay-at-home moms are doing it because it made more sense financially. If their check was just going to be going towards daycare, it was easier that she stay home. But then you have to remember that access to funds, access to a career, like you're giving up a lot to do that. These trad wives that say they're so traditional are making TikToks, which is not a traditional thing. That's a job. They have a job. So they're not really trad wives and they're lying to you. Like they're like, this is what it's like being a trad wife. I churn my own butter and I make my own ranch. But girl, you're over here making thousands of dollars with content and sponsorships. You have a job. You're not traditional at all. If you were a trad wife, I would never hear about it. No offense. No tea, no tea, all the shade, actually. All of the shade. It's just like Pearl being out there I'm like, girl, why are you talking? And I'm not being anti-woman. I'm just saying, I don't know why your mouth is moving because the movement that you're a part of doesn't want to hear you speak. You have to be quiet and make babies and make some sandwiches. So the fact that you're out here talking is wild. Stop it. New York Rangers, 1994. Listen, I'm going to tell you every single time, the way I cried when Ray Bourque won the Stanley Cup, his only Stanley Cup, his final season with the Colorado Avalanche, with the Boston Bruins behind him 100,000%, will always be a canon event for me. Okay. I'm like holding it together. Like I think about it, I was in my own tiny, shitty studio apartment in Los Angeles. All right. No dishwasher, no actual air conditioning. Okay. My neighbor came over and took a picture of me because I was so happy. And he gave me the photo. I don't know where it is now. I was so happy. Listen, it was a good time. I was so happy for him. Nerd. It was like that was like the most elite lineup to this day. I'm sorry. Because people want to be like, oh, well, Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr. No. You had Peter Forsberg. You had Rob Blake. You had Ray Bourque. You had Joe Sakic. Like, what the fuck? Get out of here. I've told my 23-year-old since childhood that the only thing they need to do in life is find joy, happiness. I do not need them to be married or have kids or anything that does not make them happy. Yeah. And I think that that's the other thing, is realizing that, listen, I understand if you want to get married or if you want to have a wedding ceremony, but I think you need to realize one very important thing. And that is that you can still have the ceremony without actually getting married. If that's a thing you want, you can do that. You can do that. You don't actually like have to get married with like paperwork. If you want to have a ceremony, babes. You're allowed to. I think it's a bad idea to have kids, but I'll never tell my pals that. I think that it is a bad idea to have kids if you're not willing to eradicate generational trauma. If you're not willing to undo and unlearn generational trauma, I don't think that you should do that, because we just don't need to keep passing the same insecurities and stressors to like the next generation. If you're a real trad wife, I wouldn't know you exist. The truth right there. I mean, I'm just saying, like, the very idea that they're making content, I'm just like, do y'all not feel how weird that is? Have you discussed, and this may be conspiracy, that the TikTok ban is connected somewhat to women's attitude? I suspect conservatives ask, where are these women getting notions of staying single? So the TikTok ban is because it's free range information. I like to use free range, but it's free range information. We are able to, as a society, we can band together and do things that harm American capitalism. We've seen it with Kellogg's. We've seen it with Starbucks. It continues to happen. And not only that, but we're able to understand things that are happening. We were able to put pressure on our government about Israel. We're able to do things that we could not, that previously we were kind of doing on Twitter, but you know, now it's owned by that weird little man with hair plugs. So we are able to organize and connect in ways we never were able to before. And since the US does not have any kind of controlling stake in TikTok, they also cannot use it to subvert and control the narrative like they can with everything else. Like if you were to type in Diddy right now, like in YouTube, I promise you, because it did for me, maybe it won't for you. I'm going to unpromise. I'm going to say that there's a very good likelihood that you are going to get more network news coverage than YouTube creators talking about Diddy, which is irritating because this platform is a YouTube. And yet whenever I type like Diddy, it's ABC News, it's NBC News, it's CBS. And I'm just like, I don't care about them. I want to hear from my favorite creators to talk about this situation. I don't give a damn about regular news. Oh yeah, Pearly thinks it's all about the grift, but girl is getting tired because she's looking tired. And I'm not saying that she's unattractive. I'm saying she looks tired from grifting so hard. Ooh, fun hockey night in Canada trivia. It's broadcast in 3 languages: English, French, and Punjabi. Punjabi too? That's so cool. You were not a temp receptionist at the Washington Capitals. Listen, I had fanfic around Eric Lindros. I also had fanfic around Peter Forsberg. Okay? I also had fanfic around Jaromir Jagr. I was a menace. Nightly Ann, go to sleep, be safe. If I could do exclamation tuck like I can on Twitch, I would, but currently YouTube does not have cute little commands. Hi, Janet. Good night again. I take my role as mom so seriously, and the work to break generational trauma is too real. The emotional and mental labor is a thing, and you got to be ready. Yes. Hi, Star. So, like, at the end of the day, when we're looking at the 4B movement and we're looking at what's happening, I think that in the US, we need to continue to call ours the decentering of men, because we have a lot of options here. We're able to do things, and we have laws against revenge corn is the word I have to use because censorship. But revenge corn, like, there are things you can't do, and you can and will get prosecuted for doing it. So we have things that actually, even though they don't care about us, they like to pretend they do from time to time, because McKaylee Lindsay, her ex-boyfriend, put her up there, and once it started happening, they were like, listen, we got to do something about this because McKaylee Lindsay. And then they do something about it. But we can never hope to understand a movement like the 4B movement from our perspective in the West. We just can't, because we don't live in that environment. There are places that you might live in that environment. There are maybe some very religious sects within the South, sect SECTS, that you might experience something closer to that. But overall, we don't experience the kind of patriarchal smothering that they do. Are men always in women's business? Yes. But we're also able to kick them out on more than one occasion. And I'll leave you with this part here, which says, this is also from The Cut. For a movement born of rage, what happens when the rage mellows or when other concerns take priority? Yawan said some of her friends are selective feminists who forego makeup when they meet up with her, but are ultimately not ready to give up the advantages that come with being conventionally attractive, which a lot of people aren't. Like, there is power in that, and it's fine. We should admit that and be okay with it. They cannot let go of this power as women of using femininity. She said, there are these feminists who say, oh, I'm a feminist, I hate men, but I also want to be, consumable. She and her friends described videos on YouTube of ex-Bihan women who told viewers that they'd seen the light and returned to heterosexuality, narratives that recall the profusion of hashtag tradwife content online. So in the end, it be your own kind. No. At the end, of course, every movement is always going to have its flaws because, again, you're going to have fissures within the movement. You're going to have people who want to do things one way. I, for one, do not think in my personal life that removing makeup or my femininity is the way in which I'm going to practice decentering men. For me, it's more about doing things that I enjoy, that are for me or that my friends will like, such as this makeup look, and the top of my boobies being brown. Like my skinning. But I try to make sure also that generally I like to not look good for men. My life is also not centered around them. I'm always trying to like enjoy myself. I play video games as much as I want to, and I have a good time doing it. I don't care if I belch in public. I do say, excuse me, you know. Everything I do isn't about like, I bought a house with my mom with the intention of knowing that I had zero plans to ever really date again. So I just don't care. Like I live with my mom. I live upstairs. Also, the house is super lonely and scary right now. Please. And I keep forgetting to feed my mom's cats. And if anybody understands how a litter genie works, hit me up. Because I meant to call my mom about it. I forgot. And I need to ask her how to use it to clean her cat box. I've discovered that that sound that I always heard, it was the litter genie. I don't know how it works. I've never cleaned her cat box before. She has 2 cats down there. And I have the dog upstairs. We're just like living up here. It's weird to just be living up here and there's nobody downstairs except for the cats. My relationship with Jagger is complex. Listen, same. But I tell you what, like when he came back, like sans the mullet, baby, I like almost lost my spirit. Okay. I was like, oh my God, what? When I wear makeup to hide flaws, a lot of the time it's to not let it be a distraction. Hell yeah. Like I feel as though people don't listen to me as much if I have a blemish. Well, and here's the thing. It's very, the relationship between women and femininity, womanhood, it's very complicated and it's complex. It's not as simple as even when I do go without makeup because I'm going to the store or whatever, and I just don't give a shit. There's still a complex relationship between looking presentable, especially, and this is why I bring this up, especially in the West, because a lot of our jobs here even have like clauses about how you have to present yourself. So a movement like this, you wouldn't be able to get a job in some aspects, not everywhere, but there are places where like you wouldn't be able to get the job, like just going to the interview with not a stitch of makeup on, unless you have that glorious like dewy, flawless, freckled skin that everybody wants to have, and the beautiful, perfect, bushy eyebrows, and your lashes just like do everything, like, you know what I mean? Unless you're that, it's gonna be it's kind of difficult to get a job, like because looks are part of it. So it is hard to get past that aspect of it, and I think for some of us, and for me, when I moved it from I have to look good for, and I look good because because I want. I'm not looking good for, and unless I'm like, the girls, the gays, and the theys, unless I'm in one of my moods where I'm like, the girls, the gays, and the theys. When I wear makeup like this in public, do you know how happy it makes like little black girls when they see me? So happy. They're smiling and waving at me in Home Depot. Listen, like, and I'm like, yeah, no matter how old you get, you can do whatever you want. And so, I love that. Yet, listen, I think that I think that living with your family, if you had like whatever you consider to be your family, it is top tier. It's so nice. Like, we bought the house together. I live upstairs. If I want to like interact with my mom, which I do, we're chilling. We go grocery shopping together when we can, of course, because like my hours are still hot trash. My route did come back, for those of you who don't have the Patreon or anything like that. My route came back. It's 69 hours. The most a route is supposed to have is between 55 and 57 hours. So I've overshot that. And my route is now an 11-hour route. And my return time is 7:09 p.m. So keep your fingers crossed that I get my route cut, because I need that. I need to get back to being able to live a life, because I have so much stuff that I actually want to film. There are things that I want to film. but I just don't get to film because when I'm talking about like movies and media and stuff, I actually want to be able to use clips, and you can't use clips in live streams on YouTube because YouTube copyright blocks it immediately because they're not recognizing it as commentary or fair use in a live stream. I wish they get past it, but they haven't yet. So I have to film that kind of stuff, and then I can put my clips in. Yeah, my route is it's rough times. Listen. If they don't cut it for these rounds, I promise you, I'm gonna put in a grievance and make them have to have give me help every because I'm not getting paid. By the way, I don't get paid for the overage. I'm not getting paid for the overage. So. Yeah. So it's rough times. My ankles scream. If you're not following me on Twitch, follow me on Twitch. I just play games there. Like we talk about stuff and whatnot, but I'm way into Deus Ex right now. I play a lot of shooter games if you're into it. My idea of a cozy game is just like a mystery. So yeah, so I guess I'm going to wash my face again. I'm going to wash my face and I might just play some video games. I'm going to play video games off stream because I still play off stream anyway. But enjoy some video games, and thank y'all for being here. Oh my God. This is a good time. If you're watching on the replay, I can't believe you made it. 1 hour, 26 minutes and 30 seconds. Thank you for doing so. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Join my Patreon if you'd like. Because my patrons and my channel members are the ones who make it so that I don't have to feel mad stress about putting out as much content as I possibly can. Because I like to be able to come on like once or twice a week if possible. But if not, it is what it is. I'm still, there. You get access to the Discord. All that's good stuff. Anyways. I got weird and started to be a little weirdo, but if you haven't subscribed to Roxy Says, subscribe. If you're not subscribed to Khadijah and Bo, please do that as well. And until next time, y'all, I am so pretty and so are you. Bye. Good night.